Alright, episode 2, or technically 3, but 2 for tonight.
Did you already start it?
Yeah.
Haha.
Let me double check.
Sup, y'all? Hi.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I hope we leave that.
That was so aggressive.
I liked it.
Oh, I was talking about you hitting the table.
I was talking about your burp.
It was.
You were like,
It was the pizza burp.
It was a pizza burp.
It was a pizza burp. Hey, don't cry. I know it was a good burp.
My eyes itching.
Don't cry. I know it was a good burp.
Okay. Oh, wait. I didn't even write down on here rumor of Checo leaving.
Oh, I have it. I have ESPN F1 Checo rumors.
Okay, cool. Perfect. And do you have Ocon?
Oh, no.
Ocon, is it his last race Abu Dhabi, or was this his last race?
No, this was it.
Okay. Ocon gone. He is Ogon. I'm calling dibs on saying that.
Do we have Esteban?
Esteban. Yeah, dibs on saying Ogon.
Esteban Ogon.
Ogon. Oh gosh. Oh no.
Or no, Clear.
Or not Clear. Okay. All right.
Are we doing the whole thing?
Okay, we're not.
Well, anyways,
Hello.
if you're still with us after that, thanks.
I don't even know if we're gonna put that in there.
I think we should.
We'll have to review it.
We'll see what the replay says.
Yeah, because I also just dropped that, and that was probably really loud.
Yeah.
I heard the what?
You heard me.
I don't think I did.
All right.
Welcome back,
welcome, folks.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Fifth Wheel Podcast. I am Hannah.
I am Sydney, and this is our episode
on the Qatar Grand Prix.
Whoop, whoop.
Whee!
Second to last race of the season.
I know. Oh my gosh. I'm kind of depressed about it.
I have lots of really big emotions about it.
I do too. Well, I was also just thinking, like, we started this podcast with like 4 races left in the season.
In hindsight, like, oh yeah, should have started at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
but also
I didn't lose my job at the beginning of the season and didn't have all the extra time to think about this.
Okay,
so,
fair.
Yeah.
But
this probably wouldn't have happened.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it. Hey, we've got 1 race left after this.
And yeah, don't worry, guys. We have a couple of like random little fun episodes planned for the off season.
We do.
Mostly to keep ourselves sane. Honestly, those episodes might be more for us than
for y'all.
Anything else, only because like you got to do something during the F1 void.
Oh yeah. Well, also another thing is a lot of my friends and family that have watched this, they don't know anything about F1, and so they're like, "It was good, but I don't understand what you're talking about."
Right.
So we're gonna do an episode. I think the first one after the season's over, besides the last race, will be on just like F1 for beginners, explained by 2 girls who like to yap about it. So yeah.
Which will probably be equally technical and chaotic.
Super chaotic.
If you've listened to either of our first 2 episodes, we're the most super organized, well-articulated individuals that have ever faced this earth.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Clearly, as I just articulated that point.
I thought you did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. But with that one, we'll make it, I like to use a lot of analogies. Yeah. And like just bring everything back to pop culture. It's going to be kind of for the girlies. The guys can watch too, but we're going to explain it like teenage girls would. So,
I mean, it's like you've seen the One Direction to F1 pipeline.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We'll talk about that.
It's essentially like that.
It's that.
Like
100%.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Liam Payne. Anyways, let's talk about the Qatar Grand Prix.
What a transition. Oh
Great
my
transition. God. I am in pain. That was bad. Anyways, why don't we just get it started then?
Why don't we, Hannah? Why don't we?
Well,
did you get it out of your system?
I did.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
So yeah, what recent news? Tell me, what the heck's happened?
Sorry about that. So in recent news, big news, Cadillac has officially signed as a new team in 2026.
Which, let's be so for real, Andretti just Trojan horsed the FIA.
Oh, 100%. They're going to be there.
Yeah, in end all be all, I think this is really awesome. You're going to have another American team. I also think it's really funny because I think poor Haas just got surpassed by like American team's top status. Like, I mean, it's Cadillac. It's Cadillac. And General Motors. Yeah. And Andretti. Like,
I think it's going to be, it's either going to go really well or really bad.
Yeah. I mean, you've got 2025 and then they're in 26. I mean, I'm excited to see it.
I am too.
I think it's going to be really exciting. I mean, especially with the growth of the sport in recent years. Yeah.
Well, Parker's also like been just every year for the past 3 years been like, when is Andretti gonna get in here?
Oh, we heard it when their bid got denied earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think a month has gone by where it hasn't come up in conversation.
No,
so
Parker's
honestly, this one's for Parker.
This one is for Parker. So he even said, I'm going to be the most obnoxious fan anyone's ever seen.
And like, no one can ever tell that man that he was a bandwagoner.
No, they cannot.
Because he's been a fan before they were on the grid.
If there was like what's the word? Picket signs?
What are you? I don't know.
If there was like, okay, I'm gonna start that over. Okay. If there was like,
I'm genuinely flabbergasted.
I am too. I'm tired. Okay. If there was like protests or anything for Andretti, he would have been there with like a picket sign. Is what I was gonna say.
Okay, I'm following now.
Yeah. I'm really.
It was a choice of an analogy, but I'm with you.
We speak eloquently. We've already gone over this. There's no need to talk about that again. But anyways, so there's rumors that Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas might have potential seats for Cadillac.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen Franco. I think especially with just a lot of the younger talent that you're seeing, like. I think 2 more spots on the grid is just another opportunity for, I mean, be it a seasoned veteran or like plucked from, the F2, F3, like whatever it is. Like, I think it's going to bring just another like layer of just interesting and fun. And I can't wait.
I love when they mix things up. I don't know why.
Do you want to know what just like played in my head? Fruit salad. yummy.
However, you know about the Wiggles and how one of them, like 2 of them were married and then one of them cheated on his wife. That's a Wiggle with someone else.
What?
Yeah, what? There's like a ton of Wiggles lore. Are you not aware of the Wiggles lore?
No.
There's so much Wiggles lore. We'll have to get into it at another time. But this is a Formula One podcast, not a Wiggles drama F1 podcast. So, I think we'll have to table the Wiggles lore conversation.
That's fine. We can talk about it offline.
Wiggles scandal. Anyways, but that's pretty much all the recent news that we had. So on to big one. Guys on the gram. We've got a couple good ones today.
Yep.
Starting over here on the left side, we have Max Verstappen and Lando. Lando posted this after Max won the World Championship.
And it's a picture that like has been rotated around just like different social media outlets. Like, I've seen this picture. I see it all the time. It's of Max and Lando when Lando was small enough that he had to be quite literally Velcroed to his seat because he was not heavy enough to stay in it.
Nope.
And it's just like, it's so fun because Lando's so small.
I know.
Max looks the same, but like not.
Yeah.
And it just, for Lando to post that to congratulate Max on his fourth. What? That was not a word.
His
4th drivers championship. I think it's just really fun because like you really, when you get reminded of moments of like you see them, like they truly did grow up together.
Oh yeah.
And it's just fun.
It's just adorable. Next up we have Joe with his Secret Santa gift that Lando got him, I think, right?
Pretty
sure it's like from Lando, but it's a pillow of his cat Sweet Corn. And then we also, Joe did post a picture of him with Sweet Corn, or next to it as well. I just thought it was cute.
Yeah.
Sweet Corn has her own Instagram, and she's got like millions of followers.
I mean, as she should.
Yeah, she's adorable.
And I think it's just, Joe he's not the most active on social media, so when we get a glimpse of just kind of how fun he can be, and I think just especially, as we'll get into later, just things that happened with Joe during the race. Like, it's just, it was like,
it's fitting.
It's just fun, and it's fitting.
Yeah. And then finally, we have Liam Lawson wearing a Lightning McQueen mask.
I think meant for children.
It definitely doesn't fit on his face correctly. It's a little bit small.
But if you know something or know nothing about Liam Lawson, all you really need to know is this man is obsessed with the Pixar movie Cars.
Oh yeah, he was asked in an interview, would you rather win a world championship or be in the Cars movie? And he could not answer the question.
Without missing a beat. Like, yeah.
He was like, I don't know.
Because
I can't choose.
This man loves Cars.
This man loves the Pixar feature film Cars starring Owen Wilson.
Has the Lightning McQueen Crocs. Like, went absolute ham at Cars Land at Disney World.
Oh yeah.
Like, that man loves Cars. And so I think that was at one of the like drivers media whatever something, and
it was brilliant.
They gave him a Lightning McQueen mask, and we felt it was worthy enough to be shared.
It needed to be
with
shared.
The world.
Yeah. So, all right, moving on to the track. So there is a little bit of information I provided on this track. So this track was actually designed primarily with motorcycle racing in mind. So there's medium and high speed corners. And also on top of that, over 1 kilometer of the track is made up of that main straight. So there is a ton of overtaking opportunities into turn 1. So yeah, just a little fun fact. I don't know. That's all I had on that. Mm-hmm. Why are you giggling? What's so funny?
Just overtaking on turn 1.
What do you mean?
I mean, we know what happened on turn 1.
Okay, yeah. But yeah. Okay, I guess that makes sense. I thought you were giggling at something I said. I was like, what did I do wrong?
Well, no.
I did in our last episode at some point say George Russell instead of George Russell.
I mean, if you haven't picked up on it, we're very quick to make fun of just dumb word mistakes that each other makes. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just the sign of true friendship. True friendship.
It's a sign of true friendship.
My brain just know we're good.
All right. Well, let's go into practice and qualifying. Not much happened in practice. However, qualifying...
We only had one, because then we had sprint quali and the sprint race.
Yeah, there's a lot that happened. So, so there's quite a bit of drama with qualifying this time. So, specifically...
Before we get there, let's talk about the sprint race before we hop into quali.
Okay.
Because I'll be so for real. There's not a whole lot that happened. I mean, no, there is a little bit that happened in the sprint race.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's something great that happened.
There's something great that happened in the sprint race.
I love it. So we are on the last lap here, and Lando on his radio is currently leading the race, followed closely by Oscar, and then I think, is it Max behind them?
No, it's I think it was George.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is George. So, but anyways, Lando P1, Oscar P2. Lando goes on the radio and goes, is it the final lap? And his team kind of knows where he's going with this. So they immediately say, yes, but finish in this order. We are happy. Finish as you are. And again, they say multiple times, finish in this order. We are happy with the order that y'all are in. Finish in this order. And Lando goes...
He said, oh, well, that's cute.
He said, that's so funny that you say that. Oscar, you know what? I need to tie my shoe real quick. Why don't you just go on ahead?
He's like, I'm going to pull off the racing line real quick and leave this hole for you. And it's just, it was one of those just like really fun driver moments to watch, because Lando quite literally said, yeah, frick y'all. I'm going to give this to Oscar, because if you've been keeping up with this season, I think it was it Brazil?
Yeah, he promised after Brazil.
In the sprint race, or it was in one of the sprint races, basically the opposite happened. It was when Lando was still fighting for the drivers' championship. They team ordered, and basically Oscar was going to win the sprint, and they made him give first to Lando.
Yeah.
And so this was one of the, in one of the interviews after, he was like, oh, I've been planning this from the get-go. He's like, if I had the chance, he goes, I was going to let it happen. And it was one of the team said no, only because George Russell was quite literally so close.
Oh, it was concerning.
To Oscar.
It was concerning.
But I mean, they pulled it off. I mean, they didn't do it until like right on the last straight, like kind of right before the finish. But it was like, they do this, and then it cuts to a clip of Zach Brown, and he's like, did he just do that? And like, it was, the look on his face was like, if that hadn't worked, I would have killed him.
Yeah. But it worked.
But it was really wholesome. So
it was sweet.
I think that was like the really wholesome, fun thing. And then you just have the whole pit lane start. So
yeah,
for a little bit of context, Franco and Checo both started from the pit lane after the sprint race. Checo got knocked out of Q1 for sprint or SQ1. So he was towards the back of the grid, and I think they changed his suspension or something. And then I don't remember why Franco had a pit lane start, but Franco had a pit lane start. And so it was Checo and then Franco. So lights go out. They are shown the green light in the pit lane. For those of us that drive, green mean go. Green mean go. You see green mean go.
I think we talked about this in episode 1. I think we said green mean go like 7,000 times.
Green mean because of the whole false or like the whole start debacle in Brazil.
When Lando was like, I'm just gonna go. I feel like it.
So green mean go.
Green mean go.
Checo no go. Checo no go. Checo stay.
Checo's colorblind, you see. I'm kidding.
And then
he's
you
not.
see Franco, and I just would have loved to be inside of his brain in that moment. And just like the thought process of like, dude, the light's green. Like, dude, the light's green.
If they had
horns, like I have no doubt that Franco would have just been laying on it. And so there's enough room in the pit lane. He just goes, okay, and overtakes Checo in the pit lane and gains a place in the race.
Yeah.
And people are like, pretty sure that's the first pit lane overtake in the race that we've ever seen. Like, and it just, unfortunately, it was a very Checo this season kind of thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's just one more thing to the laundry list that Checo has made of errors that he has had this season, and it's just not like. I'm not even surprised anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not. No. It's like, of course he didn't go.
Right. Like, that's something that either, like, him or Lance would do.
Yes.
Like, green no-go. Green stay.
Green stay. Yeah.
And it just... So, yeah, there were... I mean, other than that, like, it was a pretty solid sprint race. I mean, nothing too out of the ordinary.
No.
But, yeah, no. I had Lando giving the sprint to Oscar. Nice. That's what that sprint race was.
There we go again.
Can we just keep a tally of how many?
I'll just keep a tally. I'll put it up on the screen.
Great.
So back to qualifying.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of information on this. So, at some point during qualifying, I think this was a cool down lap for Max. George is on his lap, on his timed lap, and he is off the racing line. He is going slow. And he even says in an interview, he said that he was going extra slow to not impede anyone because he had already won the drivers' championship. He was like, I don't want to like be in the way for anyone in their own time for qualifying. George Russell throws a little bit of a fit. He throws a little bit of a tantrum to the stewards about Max being in the way. And nothing happens initially. Qualifying ends, and the order to start the race is Max and then George. And
because honestly, I think it was I think George was on his flying lap, wasn't he? And it was like, it looked like, I mean, you'll never know, but it did look like, I mean, the Mercedes was quick again this weekend. And it did kind of look like he had a chance at putting it on pole because he was on provisional pole and then Max got it. And then this little snafu happened and nobody beat Max's time.
Yeah.
And,
so,
the girls are fighting.
So we're about to start the race, or I guess, like, it's been a while since qualifying ended. Like, the order has been set. But then the FIA comes out with a statement that Max will be given a one-place grid penalty.
Which is the first time
this has ever happened.
Received a one-place grid penalty.
No.
Which, like, why?
Right. And so, in the driver parade holding room on race day, someone, including Netflix, actually, that we've heard, we hope they did. Netflix might have heard this.
The rumor is that Netflix was in the room where it happened.
Yes. I want to be in the room where it happened. The room. Anyways, sorry.
Dance break?
Oh, sorry, that was dumb. I don't know what that was.
I don't either, but it was great.
Max goes up to George and goes, you and your FIA mates, I hope you're happy with what you've done.
Which, as a Max statement, probably doesn't even, like, hit the top 10 list of just, like, kind of wildest and funniest things he said. But, but it was just such a Max statement that, like, I think it makes that list anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, all right, you're going to give somebody a one-place grid penalty. To most, who cares? To Max Verstappen, you're going to give that man a one place. So now, he's starting from second place.
Yes.
Not first, second. Mm-hmm. Do we not remember 2 races ago where this man started at what, P18 or whatever
17 or something
number it was,
and won
in the rain?
In the rain. So
I saw that and I was like, I think I literally said, LOL, he'll still win.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was in I was with Parker for Thanksgiving, mm-hmm. and I was like, Max got a 1-place grid penalty, and he was like basically the equivalent of like LOL, yeah, whatever.
Who cares?
Yeah, like cares? But little did we know, because I wasn't really paying attention at this time. So, but yeah, so I guess moving on to the race then. So the race begins. And then that 1-place grid penalty means
you want to
know
what my first note? So, speaking of 1 place, okay, granted, I misspelled it when I typed it. I said, Max really said, fuck your 1-place grid penalty, I'll take the lead, thank you.
Oh, yeah, he said that.
Because you want to know who took the lead on the first corner?
Max. Before the first corner.
Before the first
His corner.
His start was so good.
Oh, yeah, and are we surprised?
No.
Like, it was so funny to see. It's like, wow, that really got you far, George, and now you just look stupid, in my opinion.
And so it's like, this is happening, and like, I'm too focused on like, oh, like, of course he took the lead. And then I was watching it with my sister Shelby, and because she had gotten home and we were rewatching it. And it's like, you watch them, and then all of a sudden, you just see 2 cars.
Oh,
going in the direction that they're not supposed to.
Oh, yeah. So, Nico Hülkenberg caused a bit of a mess here, and he hits Colapinto and Esteban Ocon. And this is lap 1, turn 1. Nothing has happened yet, except for Max passing George, but we all knew that.
And so it's I feel bad for all 3, because I think that was, Soda Bean, so Colapinto and Ocon are out at this point. Mm-hmm. And I feel so bad for them poor Williams mechanics.
I know.
They've put together these cars.
Almost. Did you see there was a stat? Williams has gotten almost $10 million in damages.
It's absurd.
This season.
And like, yeah. So we lose Colapinto, we lose Ocon. And then like shortly after that, I think it was Lance and
Alex Albon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lance hits Alex. And
Alex is okay.
Yeah, but direct quote from Alex is like fucking Lance, I knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
And then there's Joe actually contributed to this. He saw it happen. He goes, mate, this fucking Aston, what the fuck?
Which, to come from Joe Guan Yu, like, he
crazy.
You have, like, made that man speak for what? Like, it just...
Yeah. And I feel like if anyone was going to annoy someone to the point of speaking when they normally don't, it's Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
Again, I talked about this last episode and probably the one before. Watch your back, Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
If I ever see you, it's over. It's over for you.
And so, they ended up, like, it was Lance's fault. But it was like, before we knew that for sure, they were talking of like, it might be Alex's fault. And I was like, I said, Lance, disrespectfully, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't care if anyone says it's Alex's fault.
It's Lance's.
It's your fault.
Yeah. Well, good
Turns out it was.
It was. And he got a 10-second penalty and had to retire the car immediately after.
So they served his penalty and then they sent him out for like one more lap and they were like, retire the car.
Yep. I put a smiley face next to 10-second penalty because I was really happy that it happened.
And so then it was like, you have this. I think this was where we got our first safety car, was in this first little stint. You have the race restart. Mm-hmm. And then things really calmed down.
Yeah. Oh, I also noted Hamilton did get a 5-second penalty for a false start.
He had a jump start. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Woohoo.
In the grand scheme of things, it turned out not to matter a ton.
No, it didn't.
And so it's like, yeah, all of this happens within, like, we'll call it, like, I think the first, like, 10 laps or so.
Stroll retired on lap 7 or 8.
And so, and then things are really calm. And I remember, so Hannah texted me, and she was like, she sent me that meme where it's like come on, do something. And he's like poking it with a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it really did kind of mellow out. Well, then.
And at this point, I was with some family, and they just didn't want to watch the race, and I should have listened to my gut here. But I was like, all right, fine. I'll go with them to play pickleball. Surely nothing else interesting will happen.
And I think I texted you, like, several laps later. I think it was probably like 10 to 20
I have what
something.
Yeah, so where did it go? Yeah, I sent the come on, do something. And then she goes, well, it's doing something now.
With no other context.
Yeah. And then she sent me this wonderful meme. I'm gonna put it on the screen. But
well, I think we show the world that one in a little.
I think we should do that, yeah. So
but yeah, so all of a sudden, Alex Albon's mirror, like one of his side mirrors, quite literally just like falls off the car. If you go and look at a video of this, like he's just driving and then the mirror just pops off. Like it was
a bird.
No, quite literally. Like it said, you know what? Like I want to see Wicked 2. Time for me to defy some gravity.
Gravity. Alex Albon's mirror was defying gravity,
and it's just like it's there, and then it's gone, and then it's just sitting on the straight, kind of like right on the
on the racing line.
On the racing line.
Yeah.
Dead middle of the track.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it technically wasn't on the racing line. But it was on a straight that was like the easiest passing zone and kind of the only safe passing zone. And it's almost
like on the pit exit. So like
it
is in the way.
It's in the way.
End of like short story long, mirror is in the way. Mm-hmm. And you know, the FIA and the race director being the just like super like intuitive just organization that they are, we're like, it's probably fine.
It's fine.
It's probably fine.
Surely no one's going to hit.
And to their defense, it is for like a few laps. And then, naturally, somebody runs it over. I think it was Valtteri. Valtteri runs it over.
Mm-hmm. And so there's glass shards
F1
everywhere.
car against mirror. It's like F1 car wins. Just obliterates this mirror, and there's like you said, shards of it everywhere.
Yeah, so shards of glass mirror on a racetrack.
But we're still not going to do anything about it.
No,
not even a VSC. No, not even a virtual car to like sweep this stuff off the road.
Why would you? It's fine.
It's going to be fine. It's not like anybody will get a puncture.
It's not like two people will immediately then get a puncture
within like 10 seconds of one another.
Literally. First, was it Lewis or Carlos?
It was Lewis.
Lewis Hamilton gets a puncture.
And you just see sparks.
Yes.
And then it was like quite literally where like my brain has barely processed.
Before we could like understand what had happened.
Cuts to Carlos. And I quite literally, I remember I was watching the race with my mom and I was like, son of a bitch. Like within, and it's like in this whole, like, it was like a 3 or 4 lap span. Everyone's going like, why aren't they doing anything about it? Like something is going to happen. And then that something happened. And then the FIA is acting like they're surprised about it.
I know.
And so, but even still, we've got 2 punctures and it's still another lap or 2 before they happens?
Even release a double yellow flag. So, the FIA actually finally released a statement on this after the race.
Mm-hmm.
Quote.
Let me tell you, we did nothing wrong.
Yeah, basically, like, I didn't do anything. So, word for word here. Normal practice is for the safety car not to be deployed if there was a small amount of debris and off the racing line. The extensive debris after the car hit the mirror and the punctures that occurred shortly after forced the decision for a safety car. A virtual safety car would not have been a solution as the cars were spread out and there is not sufficient time for a marshal to clear the debris. So, essentially, they were like, they literally said, no, it's fine. No one's going to hit it.
They said, it's fine until it becomes a problem.
And then it was, like...
Which, to a degree, sure, but, like, no.
And I know that, like, the cars are relatively safe and stuff, but like something as simple as a puncture like that could have like could cause a car to crash into another car. Like, it's dangerous. This isn't like,
yes,
like, it's not just like, oh, their tire's losing a little air. Like, they could kill someone.
And it significantly changed like the outcome of the race and certain drivers' race.
Yes.
Like, you've got Ferrari and McLaren in this super tight battle. Like, there's a chance that if Ferrari doesn't outscore McLaren by so many points, McLaren wins the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, this is a tight
and battle. You've got Carlos is one of the punctures, and it's like they both pit, and not until after they pit do they bring the safety car out.
No.
And so it's just like, I get sort of where the FIA is coming, but like you fumbled the bag.
Yeah.
And I think if they would just, I think some of my biggest like grievances with the FIA is just like, they never take accountability for any like misjudgments or like wrongdoings on like decisions or this, that, and the other. They're just like, oops, not our problem.
Yeah,
they
blame everything on the
It's driver. Frustrating.
And especially this season, I feel like the FIA has I don't know, I feel like they're already normally a pain in the ass, but this season they've been exponentially worse.
You've been enough of a pain in the ass that you have the entire grid coming together to write a letter to the FIA.
Yes. It's like, it's that bad. It's, genuinely, like, you can see it on the drivers' faces when they're talking about this. Like, it's genuinely causing them, like, it's not even that they're over, it's causing them, like, severe emotional distress.
Yeah.
Like, they are being blamed and targeted by the organization that they worked for things that the organization did to them.
And it's just, like, the things that they choose to be so uppity about, like the whole cursing during press conferences. Like,
oh my god,
they're adults.
And then Lewis Hamilton wearing jewelry, but like, what's the problem?
That doesn't matter as much as like it's just like the things that they choose. It's like sometimes it's like, I feel like this season some of the decisions just give off this like, we care more about appearances than we do safety.
Yes.
Which, whether or not that's the case, that's how it's come across a lot this season.
It has 100%.
And so, yeah, you have like the great Mirrorgate debacle.
Mm-hmm.
And so
so
speaking of the mirror, so yeah. Well, let me pivot to like a funny moment that came from the mirror. So our lovely sweet baby Yuki Tsunoda. So let me find this because I need to read it verbatim.
Yeah, so apparently this is a surprise to me.
She didn't see this, and I don't know how you didn't see it because it's hilarious.
And I see everything.
You do. We're chronically online.
Yeah.
And so Yuki gets asked after the race, like most of them, like in a media pin or one thing or the other, got asked about the mirror and how it affected their race. So motorsport.com asks Yuki if he had seen the mirror. He goes, "Was it a mirror? I heard beaver. My engineer said there's a beaver." And then this is his inner monologue. "But why is there a beaver in the Middle East? Like, how is it possible a beaver is in the Middle East? But okay, maybe there's a surprise with global warming kicking a lot of interesting things in the earth." So like, you've got a beaver. So like, this poor man heard beaver and spent the rest of the race
thinking there was a beaver.
That there was a beaver on the track, and that it caused all this
punctures.
And he's driving the car at 100-something miles an hour.
It's like 200.
Contemplating how in the hell a beaver is in the Middle East.
It's like the opposite of a polar bear in Arlington, Texas.
So this one Instagram post, instead of it being a polar bear in Arlington, Texas, it was a beaver. How the hell did a beaver get in the Middle East? And it was like Yuki Tsunoda during the middle of the race.
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad someone else had that thought too.
And it's just like, this man is quite literally driving a Formula One car and having a crisis about global warming, and there being a beaver in the middle of the desert.
Oh, beaver.
For all of the chaos.
And like, assuming like if Yuki understands like what else is going on in the race, he's assuming that this beaver also caused 2 tire punctures.
Which is just one of the fun when I saw that, I was dying laughing because it's so wholesome.
It's so Yuki. It's such a Yuki thing.
Beaver? How did a beaver get in the Middle East?
Oh my goodness.
Man, global warming must be getting really bad.
Oh my goodness.
So that was kind of the fun side of the whole mirror gate.
Our environmental king.
But yeah, and so then all of this, do we get past the mirror before we get our double yellow?
I don't know. Was the mirror for this?
Was it after the safety car?
I don't know. But regardless, at some point, so here's what happens. A double yellow flag is announced.
Chaos on the second safety car restart, because that was when Checo and Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah, go ahead and do that one before I get into it. Go ahead and do that one.
So yeah, sweet baby Checo. I say sweet baby Checo.
I was gonna say
I did feel a little bit bad for him because he finally got himself into Q1, like had a decent qualifying, like was in the points, and obviously he would have finished in the points somewhere. So, you have your whole mirror gate beaver debacle. And then safety car finally came out, too little too late, but came out nonetheless. And you get another, they restart. And all of a sudden, you just see Checo in the gravel. And then you see Nico in the gravel. I don't remember what happened with Nico because I was too focused on Checo. But I think Checo just I think he had a little stint of like oversteer, understeer, spins, beaches himself in the gravel. So it's just like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football and he just keeps missing. It's okay, don't cry.
I'm sorry, I yawned and my eyes are watering.
It's really funny.
But no, I might cry. I feel so bad for Checo. Just kidding,
so now, Checo, we've lost Checo and Nico. And I think because of that, the double yellow came out because they're not really in the way, but they got to get these cars off track. So
side note, switch to the race.
We just got too into it.
So we got a little too into it. We are now talking about the race. If anybody was wondering, this did not all happen in qualifying.
Could you imagine?
Oh my god, could I?
Could you imagine?
That would be insane. Anyways,
absurd. But yeah, so
then
we've lost Checo and Nico at this point, which I won't lie, I felt a little bit bad for Checo. It was very quickly forgotten. But I think because of this,
the double yellow flag.
We get a double yellow flag.
Yeah.
Which why is the double yellow flag important?
Yeah, it's very important. So Mr. Lando Norris is driving. And we've seen a few replays of this. He's driving.
Yeah.
And remember, on the straight, and he's on the straight. So on these straights, they're going nearly 200 miles
He's
an
going
hour.
stupid fast right now.
Stupid fast. And we also found out that if an F1 driver blinks, they're going about, was it 20 kilometers?
It's a lot.
20 kilometers in a blink, right? And so he is way less than 20 kilometers from this yellow flag sign when it pops on. And he's going so fast that he misses it. In the car, you can see, like, at the very last second, right before he passes it, it goes like, woof, like right by his head. However, Lando did not see it. And he admits to this later. He's like, I didn't see it, and that's my own fault.
So he didn't slow down.
So he did
not lift off.
Did not lift off. He didn't lift off. He didn't lift off. Lift, left, love. He did not live, love. And Max actually is the one that saw this from in front of him, and Max was like, hey, Lando didn't lift off the brakes, I don't think. Like, can you check that? And so they do. They check. He did not lift off.
I mean, so when we say lift off, like
lift off the gas.
Basically, they lift off, and you can hear it in the car, like on a replay. Like you can hear it, like there's a very distinct sound where it's like
it sounds like when they switch gears,
basically.
Yeah,
and you don't hear that. You don't hear that.
No,
this man didn't slow down.
So
when you don't slow down, you get a penalty.
Yes, and he got a 10-second
stop and
go penalty,
which since I've started watching, like, I hadn't seen that. I didn't know that was a type of penalty that you can get, which that's on me. But like, I was like, stop and go. I was like, what is that? And like before the words, what does that mean, come out of my mouth, they're explaining it. And basically he had like, 10-second stop and go. You have 2 laps. You have 2 laps to come in and stop and serve that penalty. Like, there is no, if there's a safety car, if there's a pit stop, if there's a red flag, like you come in, you stop for 10 seconds and then you go.
Yep.
And I, like I get the whole, like, he broke the rules.
He did. And he admitted this later on in an interview. A lot of people were up in arms about this because it seemed very unfair. And a lot of people were like, how was he expected to slow down in that time? It was too fast. But at the end of the day, he at the very least didn't lift off the gas. And that is really what the issue was there. And he even said in an interview, he said, it was my own mistake. I didn't see it. Like, he said word for word, I'm not stupid. If I had seen that, I would, like, I know that means
he's not going to disregard a double yellow because he knows if he does, he's going to get a penalty.
Right. And so he's like, somehow or another, I missed it. I didn't see it. But he said it was a fair penalty though, because it's a dangerous situation. Like the FIA, with all their bullshit, I will say is very consistent on this rule. I have examples like back in 2021, I think it was Mazepin and Latifi. Mm-hmm. Each of them got a 30-second penalty, which is insane.
The one I always think about, I think it was Suzuka I think it was 2 years ago when it was raining and the tractor, like, I don't remember, somebody had crashed in the rain and Pierre, they like either hadn't put a yellow or something in it, like, and he ended up speeding during a yellow, like not slowing down, and they still gave him a penalty.
Right.
And so it's like, I totally, like, he broke the rules. He should have gotten a penalty. But I felt like the stop and go was a little bit much.
It was a bit much. It definitely was a bit much. However, I think the FIA on these types of penalties is extra strict intentionally, because that's like a life-threatening situation. If there was a marshal that had to come out onto the track,
it could be very, all it takes is one time and one instance, one moment. So, like, but
still, it was a lot of people are up in arms about it.
I think because of the impact that it had on the race.
I think as well, because this really affected Lando's performance for the Constructors' Championship.
Yes.
It really affected that. So the gap between Ferrari and McLaren is a lot smaller now. I don't remember exactly by how much.
Because McLaren was sitting pretty. Like, they weren't going to clinch the Constructors. So, before this penalty, I don't remember what position Lando was running, but, like, it was up there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so this penalty happens, and he drops from, like, I want to say second or third to 16. Which was at this point last in the race.
Yeah.
Because we had lost 4 others at that point. And in not just 16th, I think he was like 20 seconds behind. Like, that.
It was bad.
It was bad.
It was really bad. It destroyed his race. It destroyed his race.
I mean, it seriously changed it up. And it, unfortunately for McLaren, but fortunately for Ferrari, like, it really helped Ferrari.
It did.
I mean, like, you had that just unfortunate puncture that, quite honestly, ruined Carlos's race. But then you've got this penalty that, like, almost gave him new life. And because of, like, the punctures and the way everything, like, kind of played out, like, McLaren didn't get as many points as they were projected. And now I think that gap between Ferrari and McLaren's like 21 points.
It's close enough that the last race in Abu Dhabi is going to be the deciding race.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I love that.
No, I will say, regardless of that, like, Lando would have finished a lot higher. Like, I think he probably would have podiumed. Mm-hmm. But man, did he drive lights out after that penalty. I mean, because this was pretty far into the race.
Yeah.
And I think he went from however far back in last that he was and made it all the way back into the points.
Yeah.
I think he ended up 10th, so he only got a point, but
that's still in the
points. To go from that back into the points.
I think that's a great performance. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
A weird situation.
Definitely.
I get why, I get why it happened. The penalty needed to happen.
But it's still,
and
just
I do
sucks.
appreciate, because he could have very easily taken the stance of, like, of just it happened so quick. Like, he could have been a dick about it.
Yeah, he could have. But I appreciate his
didn't see it. it was fair.
Yeah, like, I like that about it. He was very disappointed in it, though. You could see, and like, there's pictures of him and videos in the interviews. He looks devastated. He really he made a statement saying that he really let the team down because of that. And you can tell he's just really torn up about it, but he's taken it on the chin, which is, I mean, the only really way you can go about it at that point. The FIA is going to do what the FIA is going to do.
Yeah. So I mean, those were a couple of the big things, and then like you've got
I've got a couple other notes.
Got the whole Lewis debacle. So I think after the puncture, like it ruined Lewis's race also.
Yeah.
And so I think after that, like I think Lewis was having a lot of trouble. I mean, like it's wild for like how well and how long Lewis has spent of his career at Mercedes. It's like they're going through a bad breakup. Like divorce, like the divorce is messy. And I mean, like Lewis he's like, I'm ready to be done. And but yeah. So this puncture happens, and then Lewis, I think he's having issues, and he's like, he was like, we need to retire the car. They tell him no. So Mercedes is like, no, stay out. And so he's like, fine. He keeps going. I don't remember how many laps it was, but then basically Mercedes comes back and like, Lewis, we think we should retire the car.
It's like, yeah, no, duh.
And he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, I wanted to do it, but now you told me to. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's like, I was going to take the trash out, but
like now I don't want to
take the trash out. Now I'm not going to.
And like, honestly, I kind of respect Lewis.
Yeah, honestly,
but I loved it. It's just like, you know, so you had that going. It's just a whole. Oh, I forgot about this. Back to Mirrorgate.
Back to Mirrorgate.
I don't know if you remember. I don't remember. Credit to whoever made this TikTok that I saw about it. But for those that don't know, they do Secret Santa amongst the drivers. Mm-hmm. In like 2018, George Russell gifted Alex Albon a like rear view mirror extender.
You're kidding.
I wish I was. I wish I like genuinely gifted Alex Albon a rear view, like one of those you like clip on to the side mirror so that like if you're pulling a trailer or whatever, you can
see it.
Gifted it. And they were like, well, at least he's got an extra mirror.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just one of those like full circle like F1 lore moments, and I was like, this is why I'm chronically on fine.
Oh yeah,
because I would have missed that.
Knowing all of these little details, I think, is what makes the sport so fun and interesting. And this is the things I tell my friends that are like, want to get into F1. They're like, I watch the races, but it just looks like they're driving around. And obviously once you start to understand how the races work and stuff, it gets more interesting. But knowing all of the little things about their history, about their friendships, about their rivalries.
And, like, I remember just how quickly that happens. Mm-hmm. Because like I don't think it was until like the spring of 2022 when it was like I dipped my toe into the pool of F1, and then it was like the entirety of it just like grabbed a hold and dragged me immediately to the bottom. Like it was insane how quickly you can get yourself inundated into this world. And then it was like, it was honestly unreal how quick it happened. And then you just like pick up bits of like, I didn't watch F1 in 2018.
Me neither, but we find that out. And it's hilarious.
And it's just like, I love this sport. It's so fun. And just,
it's so good.
Quite literally just got a rear view mirror extender.
It's so cute.
And so I think it was after that last safety car, not a whole lot happens.
Yeah, I've got some notes here. The rest of the race was relatively uneventful, but I have just a few things that wanted to go over with it. Like, for example, Lawson got a penalty for running Bottas off the track, and that was towards the beginning. That was 10-second penalty.
There were so many time penalties.
Many penalties.
I showed you earlier, and for those that can't see, I have a couple pages of notes and in sparkly glittery pink pen circled all of the time penalties that were given, and there's like 6 at least.
There's a lot.
There's so many.
Yeah. And then so Alonso throughout the race, like he just kept hopping on the radio saying like he was having trouble on the straights with the speed of the car, but he ended up in P7, which is pretty good considering all that. Yuki had a slow race. He just was getting passed.
He's so worried about the beaver.
I know, he was so worried about hurting that poor beaver.
But you know who had a damn good race?
Pierre Gasly.
And Zhou Guanyu?
Yes! Okay, wait. Let me get there. So
let's talk Pierre.
Pierre, I was just going to say, Pierre finished P5, which...
For Alpine is a big deal.
Again, polar bear in Arlington, Texas, beaver in the Middle East.
And I feel like that really, like, it makes up for his just super unfortunate DNF in Vegas. And so, like, for him to finish that far up in the points,
it was great.
Was, like, great for him, but also Alpine.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think it moved him up a spot again, or it, like, kind of almost secured their spot from that jump that they took after the double podium in Brazil.
Yep. And then, yes, so Zhou got P8.
Which, normally, no one's super excited about a P8.
But
Stake had not, up to this point, had not scored a single point in any race, any sprint, no fastest laps, like, had not scored a single point. And not only did Zhou Guanyu get a point, he got 4 points. He got 4 points. And it was just, like, because I was watching it with my mom, and my mom was so excited for Zhou Guanyu. And, like, it was just so fun to watch. And I really felt like, you know, it reminds me of the clip with Seb where it's like, everybody's a Ferrari fan. Even if they say that they're not, everybody's a Ferrari fan. And I feel like you could say the same about Zhou Guanyu.
Oh, he's like, such a sweetheart.
He's just, like, a lot of times he's just kind of there, but when you see just, like, glimpses of him, and so it was like, I was genuinely so happy for him.
It's so sweet.
I voted for him for driver of the day.
Didn't he win driver of the day? He did, yeah. And he had some good overtakes.
Like, he had, like, yes, the penalties and the all of these, like, you know, 4 or 5 cars DNFing, like, hell, yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. He put that car in the points.
He did. And everyone should be proud. You could see how happy he was about it too.
I mean, like, sweet. It makes me so happy for him because, like, he's the first Chinese Formula 1 driver, like, I remember watching him, like, when they had that special spot for him at his home race in China, like, he finished, like, in the bottom 5 somewhere.
Yeah.
But that entire country was just, like, seeing the support for him was, like, cool.
It moved him to tears.
It did. And, like, honestly, I'm pretty sure I cried watching. And so it was just, like, watching how happy he was, how happy the team was. Like, I mean, they celebrated like he had just won the championship, which, like, for them, it almost feels like they did. Because they got points.
They did.
They got points. And it was just, it was so wholesome.
So wholesome.
Man.
I love that.
Points and driver of the day, like.
That was so good.
And there's a good chance, like, we're not going to see him in F1 again.
No.
And so he doesn't have a seat for next year. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, for him to, you know, end of what's probably his last season to kind of go out with points was just such really a good fun feeling to see, and was just so wholesome, and it made me really happy.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to, there's some more drama we have to talk about.
Yes.
It's the same drama that we talked about before, but there's more.
Yeah.
So, like we said, Max at the beginning of the race said, "Fuck you, I'm going in the first anyways." Yeah. So, and George ended up, all that work with the stewards just to end up P4, not even on the podium.
He didn't even get the podium. But you know who? You want to know who won?
Max Verstappen.
Max
Verstappen did. So we've got some interviews with Max after the race, and this first one he is speaking in Dutch. So this is a translation. But
what? You're not gonna speak Dutch to me,
girl? You know I can't speak Dutch. Wait, I do know one thing in Dutch. Sorry. I do know the Dutch national anthem, as does every other F1 fan. Yep. Unfortunately, we have heard it too many times.
And I've been Stockholm syndrome by it, and it's
kind of comforting now.
I really enjoy hearing it on Sunday. I won't lie.
It's really nice. And also, especially with everything that happened. But anyways, so we have this interview of Max, and he's speaking in Dutch, but the translation of it is when asked about the situation, specifically asked about George. He says, He acts all polite for the camera, but in closed doors, he's a completely different person. I just can't stand that at all. You better just fuck off. I don't want anything to do with you. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then, but that was after the race. But when Max finished the race, as we know, George was mad that Max was going, quote unquote, unnecessarily slow in qualifying, right? So direct quote from Max's race engineer on the radio when Max finished in first place: "Karma is a wonderful thing. You definitely did not drive unnecessarily slow today." And Max said, "Simply lovely."
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. And then there's one more.
The girls are fighting.
The girls are fighting. I love it. And then in the official post race, I'm sure many of you saw this, but it just has to be said. Talking about, he caused a huge scene. He's talking about the situation, and then specifically about George. He goes, "I've never seen anyone trying to screw someone over that hard, and for me, I lost all respect for him." Which is like something that I feel like most drivers have not said about other drivers. It's one thing to be like, that wasn't cool or that wasn't respectful of him.
George really pissed off Max.
Oh yeah, and I feel like Max is not a guy that loses respect for people without good reason. I put in like one of my PowerPoints about the F1 drivers, like, has anger issues, but only for good reasons.
And I feel like where we've seen, like, and especially with some of the, like, I feel like the cases between him and Lando throughout this season, like, when they've both gotten heated, but they both have, like, calmed down and then, like, come back of like, oh, like, how are you and Lando gonna be this week? And he's like, no, we're good. No. Like, we were at heat of the moment, and, like, I don't think he's gonna do that with this. Like,
I don't think he is.
I think George pissed Max off.
I think he did too. And, like, well, even with the Lando stuff, like, Max and Lando have both said it's challenging, but it's fun. It's the fun of racing. Like, it's hard. It's
like, a lot of times, like, yeah, they do just say stuff in the heat of them. Like, it's, again, adrenaline's so high. They're gonna say stuff they don't always mean, but, like, this was, like, official post-race interview. Like, Max has had time to calm down.
Yes, he's had a lot of time to calm down. And he had the celebration of the victory to help calm him down. And I think this time specifically, I think this was kind of maybe his last straw. I'm sure that George has done things like this in the past. And this was just finally when Max was like, I'm done, and I'm going to tell people how I feel about it at this point, because I'm not going to hide it anymore. Yeah. So that's kind of crazy. I cannot wait to see how or if George responds to any of this. I haven't seen any response yet.
I haven't either. I'm sure both of them get asked about it this week in Abu Dhabi. I don't know how you don't. No, considering how things ended.
I can't wait to see Drive to Survive on this also. It's going to be so good. I'm telling you,
like, I wish I knew somebody at Netflix, because it's like, you honest to God need an episode per race this season of DTM, because so much not only happened on track but off track.
Off track, there's
simply just gonna be so much that gets left out, because there was so much that got left out of last season of Drive to Survive, and that was the Max Verstappen show.
Yes.
So, like, how in the world, like, we're gonna need to do an episode or, like, several where we just dissect Drive to Survive and be like, they forgot this and this and this and this, and, like, but it's like, I mean, there will be no shortage of, like, drama. There will be no excuse for this not to be the best season of Drive to Survive on the sheer amount of content that they should have.
I agree. And I mean, I think personally this season, I've been watching Formula One for like maybe 4 years now, ever since the first season of Drive to Survive. That's when I started into F1. And there has been no season since, like, any season of Drive to Survive in general, or racing in general, that has had this much going on behind the scenes in terms of politics, team changes, driver drama, like team drama, it's FIA absurd. Drama. It's crazy. It's like it's all coming to a head. Yes. And especially now that the teams are more well balanced. Like, last year was the Max Verstappen show. We all know that. We don't need to talk about it.
They had a damn good car. They had Max is Max.
And he's so, and unfortunately I heard the Dutch national anthem too many times, as we said. However, this season I feel like has been the first one in a while where at least half of the teams have been like, we have a chance to do this. And because of that,
right.
Yeah, and because of that, tensions are high.
Yes.
Everyone is like fighting their ass off for this because in the past season, they're like, okay, like, sure, we'll fight for a second.
We're fighting for 2 through 20.
Yes, exactly. In this one, people are like, I have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting all of my cards in.
Because, well and truly, Lando did have a shot at the Drivers' Championship.
And he, up until last race.
Yeah, and Ferrari or McLaren will win the Constructors.
Yeah.
Red Bull's not going to get it.
No, they're not.
And
thanks a lot, Checo. You know what you did.
He does know what he did. Boy, does he.
Boy, does he.
But, like, I mean, it's just, I am so excited to see what they decide to include in this season of Drive to Survive. Because, like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's going to be insane.
And like, so there's a couple things that happened after the race that we need to talk about.
That have come out in, like, the last, like, 12 hours alone.
Oh, yeah. So the first thing.
Jeez.
Esteban Ocon has driven his last race.
Which
Esteban Ocon is Ogon.
The French be petty as hell.
They do. There's one race left. One race.
And it's like one of the, like, so
if there's been so many changes.
They dropped him so that he can go participate in, like, the end of season testing. You want to know who's participating in the Williams end of season testing and is still competing in his last race with Ferrari?
Carlos.
This is straight up the French being petty.
They're just like, we're done.
They're like,
yep.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Like, gave him a stale baguette and kicked him out the door. Like, what are you doing? And you got to feel for him.
Yeah, seriously.
Because, like, his last 2 races were, like, he
bad.
He DNF'd.
So, poor guy racing his last race for Alpine.
Literally my note, Esteban. In all caps with several exclamations.
Esteban Ocon. So.
But
And then finally, the most fun news, in my opinion, is that there's a rumor from ESPN F1. From ESPN F1 rumor that Checo will be leaving Red Bull after the Abu Dhabi race.
Which is one of those...
Please, God, I'm begging, please.
No kidding. I'm gonna, like, do all of the, like, good lucks. Like, just...
Good luck, Charlie. Okay, and then the last thing is... Why are you laughing?
Because I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. So the last thing, there is a rumor from ESPN F1, not just like any rumor mill source. ESPN F1 came out with a rumor that said Checo will be leaving Red Bull after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Which, whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
But, like, it's a rumor, right? But what did we learn about F1 rumors this year?
None of them are too crazy to believe. If
you've been around since the beginning of the year, not even the season, like, because this happened before the season even starts, there is a rumor that comes out that Sir Lewis Hamilton, my apologies, is leaving Mercedes for Ferrari.
And we were like,
I remember,
crazy.
Because it was a Monday.
It was
a random Monday,
and it came out like
February,
3 a.m.
It was we woke up to these rumors.
Yes,
and I remember, like,
I called you.
Yes,
I FaceTimed you at like 6 a.m.
And then I'm at work. I did not get work done that day. No. Because, like, my mind was elsewhere. I may have done work, but my body was on autopilot.
No, I was like, blown
because
away.
It's one of those. It's like, there's no way. It's all these rumors and, like, all of these other, like, it was like a rumor, but then it was like these sort of more and more credible, like, sources kept coming, and it was like, and it was one of those. And so, like, now the running joke is, like, no rumor is too outlandish. Like, you could tell me that, like, Logan Sargent is gonna race an F1 on the moon, and I'm like, yep, it's gonna happen.
Yep.
Or, like, there's going to be a race on the moon. Like, yep. Simply because Lewis went to Ferrari, and, like, what?
Yeah.
So
makes no sense.
But yeah, ESPN F1 that Checo, like, that they're going to part ways.
I mean, but, like, and the thing is about that rumor in particular, it's not that far-fetched.
It's not.
Because he's been so bad.
It should happen.
I think it needs to.
Homie must sell a
ton of Kit Kat bars.
Ton of Kit Kat bars, ton of t-shirts, and, like, And I'll get, like, sure, call it whatever marketing bit you want, but, like, at what point does that outweigh your team performance?
Mm-hmm. He brings in so much money, but, like, at some point you're losing money because you're not performing well.
And it just, like, it is one of the, and, like, for ESPN, because, like, that was the first place I saw it, was ESPN F1.
Yep.
Which is a pretty darn, like, them in F1 are where I go for my news.
Yeah.
Because usually anything breaking is either on F1 or ESPN F1 first. And for it to come out here first,
I think they're serious.
Yeah, it's just like, and for the way that Red Bull works, it's like you kicked Pierre out mid-season. You let Alex finish that season. He was doing pretty well in that car, but then you pick up Checo because he's available, which at the time, he was still driving like you don't get a title like the Mexican Minister of Defense without being a good driver.
He used to be one of the best.
Yes, and so I will give them that. But it's like when you're Red Bull and you're not afraid of kicking people out mid-season, you get rid of Nick DeVries, you get rid of Daniel, so it's just like, you know, you're known to kick people out when they are underperforming.
It's a shock it hasn't happened sooner.
He has been underperforming for at least an entire season. And it's like, no, it's okay. You'll get him. Here, we'll sign you. You got another chance.
Yeah, which is crazy talk for Red Bull. And it's just
like, what did we talked about it like Max Verstappen on his own would be like third in the Constructors' Championship, third or fourth, whatever it was.
Yes.
You could take Checo completely out of it. Like, what was it in the it was one of those like kind of weird stats just to show a comparison that
in like the
didn't
last
go in Checo's favor.
In like the last 3 or 4 races, him and Joe have gotten the same amount of points.
And so in one race that are Sauber's only points, Joe gets the same as Checo did in a Red Bull in the last 4 or 5 races. Like,
yeah,
it just.
I think that was Red Bull's like, okay, Joe is scoring higher than you. You need to get out.
And so I'm like, and the thing is, but I won't be surprised if they keep him.
I wouldn't either.
At this point, like, I won't be surprised if he stays.
Yeah, it's.
And I hope for his sake that if he does, homie better pull out some miracle-ass performance.
I don't think he is. I think if he does, for some reason, stay, and this is a rumor, it's his last chance.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be.
I don't see how you can be Red Bull and do what you have done in the past, because doing what you have done and kicking out these drivers mid-season, you have set a precedent for yourself, for you and your sister team.
Yes, exactly. So that's that.
Anyways, whole bunch happened in Qatar. Like, it was a solid, like, during, after, like, we were fed.
Yes.
We were fed with oodles and oodles of content.
Yes.
Like, and now we only have one race. Womp womp.
Well, we have Driver of the Day.
Oh, we do.
We have one more thing to
Driver
talk about.
Driver of the Day and Diva of the Day.
We have Diva of the Day.
Driver of the Day was Joe Guan Yu, which worth mentioning again.
Yes, 100%. But our Diva of the Day is Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean... like we mentioned earlier, the girls are fighting. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think Max is going to lash out unless you give him a damn good reason to. And when he did not hold back this time, is what I'm going to say.
And I think when you've pissed Max off to the point that he is, like, cursing your name in English and Dutch and whatever other languages he speaks, like,
you fucked up.
Max is on diva behavior.
Max is on diva, and rightfully so. Like, I'm very happy with this Diva of the Day.
Yeah, and honestly, it was about time. Like, Max and George, for them to be, I think we said it on our first episode. Like George will be Diva of the Day a lot, simply because of, like, his radio messages are just gold.
Oh, 100%.
And, like, for this to involve both Max and George, like, it just really was like just a chef's kiss of just like, yeah, Max, you earned it.
It really was.
You earned it.
We also have honorable mention to Joe for being Driver of the Day. And he's so wholesome.
He is. He might not have done anything like sassy or overly like slay.
No.
But like, he really did. He took advantage of a situation that, like, or several situations that cost other people. Like, he drove well and held on to P8. and I gotta give it to him.
Oh yeah, well,
everybody's a Joe Guan Yu fan.
Diva of the day for us is either you are exhibiting diva behavior, like being crazy in whatever way, shape, or form, or it's like a slay moment, right?
Yes.
Like, oh my god, diva! Who is this diva? So Max is quite literally being a diva of the day, but who is this diva?
He's like the people's princess. Like, who is this diva?
Who is this
diva? Is the people's princess.
And just for him to be like leaving Kick Sauber with this towards the end, it's just very sweet.
Like, for him to be able to give them this and a few points, like,
and for him to get this for himself.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's just like, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's 4 points.
It's 4 points.
But like, honestly, those 4 points mean more to him and that team than than 1 point does to Red Bull.
Exactly, right. And so it was just really sweet to see. So we wanted to honorable mention him. Mm-hmm. And with that, we only have one race left in the season, and I'm depressed.
I might cry.
I will cry. I think we're gonna cry.
Charles and Carlos last race together. Lewis's last race with Ferrari. Lewis's last race with Mercedes.
I've been getting so many TikToks of like Charles and Carlos's fun moments together, of them laughing. And it's like emotional. I get teary-eyed.
The shirt I'm gonna wear next week is an ode to C2.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
And I'm so sad. I mean, like, you're losing Valtteri, you're losing Joe. Like, we don't know when we're going to see Colapinto again, which, yes, poor buddy has crashed a lot. Granted, a lot of those were Brazil in the wet. Like, he's done a good job. Like, I would love to see Colapinto again.
Yeah, people are trying to find a spot for him.
And I'm
because they want him.
I don't think you count him out for
Red Bull.
or the Cadillac.
No, I don't count.
I could see that being you're a new team. Why not pick up a new driver that you've seen a little bit of? Mm-hmm. Regardless, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of things in that race that I think it's just, I don't think I'm gonna be strong enough to handle it.
I think we're gonna cry.
I think we are too.
It's fine.
It's fine.
We'll cry at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Or 7? Or 7 in the morning?
It starts at 7. Yep.
That's okay.
The things we do.
The things we do for love.
The things we do for love.
And friendship.
And friendship.
And friendship.
And friendship. You're such a good friend.
Oh, thank you.
You're such a good friend.
Okay. So,
anyway, with all that, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much for watching our 3rd episode. We will be back in about a week-ish.
Yeah.
No, actually less than.
I don't know. Whenever we film it.
Whenever we end up filming it. We'll be back soon for our final episode for the season. And then after that, we will be moving on to, like I said earlier, F1 for Beginners, preseason drama for 2025.
I think we do some fun moments. Like, we've got some stuff planned.
We've got stuff planned. So
I mean, we've got to fill the void for ourselves.
We do.
So
yeah, because otherwise
have 3 months of void to fill. So
yeah. And there's always stuff that happens between seasons. So thank you for tuning in. Yes. And it's lights out and away we go. Haha, you got me. It's lights out and away we go. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.